Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian.is.weird. So today I'm going to talk about something that I kind of manifested for myself this year. I did it very intentionally and found some tips and tricks along the way that I'd like to share with you. So if you are either a beginner crocheter or if you are more experienced but you want to grow a little bit, want to stretch your wings, want to be a little bit more creative, here's some things that I found that helped me. So just to kind of give you a picture of where I was kind of this time last year, I was using a lot of paid for or free patterns. I wasn't really making anything myself, wasn't freehanding anything myself. I was kind of just at the whim of patterns, and that actually led me to have a lot more confusion about what was written in the patterns. Simple instructions sometimes I couldn't follow, and so I was really having trouble with working with patterns and like getting my counts right and all of that stuff. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I was just making a lot of mistakes. I would make mistakes and I would go a couple of rows past and I'd be like, it's fine. And then my whole project would be kind of off. So what I decided to do was to start making some changes to how I crocheted. I really just wanted to be a better crocheter, and that didn't really have any definition to me. I just wanted to feel more confident in my crochet. I know I'm doing this a lot. I don't know what's wrong with my hands. I just wanted to be better and more self-sufficient in my crocheting. So that's kind of where I started, is where I was really focused on the pattern, didn't understand where my counts were wrong, kind of sloppy and attaching like pom-poms and like arms and legs, and it just wasn't good. And like looking back at the quality of a lot of stuff I sent out, I'm like, I wish I could do that over again, and I wish I could make it look a little neater. My first suggestion is to start as like, simply as possible, and this will help with your creativity, is find two patterns. They could be two blanket patterns, two amigurumi patterns, do whatever, and then combine them. A great way to do this is to make a lovey. So you can start an amigurumi and cut it off at the waist and make like a little baby blanket. And so you're kind of thinking about how things connect and how you can make a better project. So things like that, those were really fun for me. It inspired me to be more creative, and it also took stuff like blankets, which I don't typically enjoy, and made me enjoy them more, because I was like, kind of thinking about color and thinking about texture and all of these things that I found really fun. So that's a suggestion that maybe you want to employ. Now, let's see, I should have, sorry, I got this before. Now, the second one is definitely not mandatory. There are a million and one tutorials that are free online on different stitches. But I wanted to, when I went into treatment, I knew I wasn't going to have technology available to me readily. So I bought a stitch book. And so I bought the Crochet Stitch Dictionary. Let's see, it has 200 essential stitches with step-by-step photos. Photos, I mean, I think they could be a little bit longer, but again, I'm coming from like a video tutorial kind of standpoint. So just having like a couple pictures, like 4 pictures, I was like, what? But it did challenge me to be better, and it also introduced me to a bunch of stitches. And then I was like, well, what if I combine this, and then I did this? Could I work it in the round? All of these kinds of questions that this book came up for me. I really, really had such a good time working through it, and love incorporating the stitches, because you can really see, and they really did such a good job at showing the different stitches and what they look like, so you can really get a good view of it. So I really like that. But like I said, you don't have to financially go in and buy a book. You can look online at different stitches, mixed domestic, bag a day, like literally everyone has stitch tutorials. So check them out and just try stitches and then see what you can do with those stitches. The next is, I was really confined to using one type of yarn. I was only using 4-weight yarn. Occasionally I would use like a 5 bulky, but like I really wasn't stretching my wings there. So I started getting thinner yarn, and then I started getting thicker yarn. Not too, I had my time with like super thick yarn, and my wrist was just like, no. Um, but experiment with different hook sizes, and not just what's recommended on the label, but just experiment with different things. And this kind of leads me to my next thing is just try to freehand something. Just say like, hey, I want something that looks kind of like a fish. I don't know, I'm just making shit up. So try to freehand a fish, and maybe it's a cat toy, or maybe it's an amigurumi, or maybe it's flat, maybe it's an applique, maybe, I don't know, just say, I want to make this, and then just try to go for it. And then say, some texture would be cool here, and add some stitches. So this is where the knowledge of stitches and how, the multiples you need and all of that stuff is really helpful. This has the multiples listed. Really, really helpful. Just try to freehand something, and sometimes it's going to be really ugly. I did this several months ago when I did my queerdos, when I just kind of like, I was like, I want to bump here, so I just did like a puff stitch, and like I just made something, and that made me really aware of how different, just how you can make different things. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put like a little arm here, so I just put a little arm, and it was really, really fun. And then finally, something that I started this year, was writing my own patterns. It is super helpful because, one, if you create something from scratch and you're trying to duplicate it, it's really nice to have a pattern that you wrote, or a video recording, or whatever you want to do. So try to write your patterns, and even if you're doing something that, like, let's say you watched a video and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, write out the pattern and see if, and then if you write your own like original pattern, get some pattern testers, get some people who will give you some feedback. It's really, really helpful, and people will have great suggestions on how you can simplify things, how you can make things look better. It is really, really fun, really cool, and honestly, I feel like I am 1,000% better, maybe not 1,000, maybe 300% better at crocheting than I was at the start of the year, just because I decided to go into that uncomfortable zone where learning happens. So I hope this helped you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and keep crocheting. I can't wait to see what you will make.